Property observers. Property observers are basically used when you want to observe, when you want to be get notified when there is a change in value, change in property value. Let's say you have declared one variable called balance. Whenever the balance gets changed, you want to get one message like your balance is credited or your balance is debited. If you want to get such kind of notifications, you have to have some kind of observing mechanism. Property observer means whenever we are setting something, you can do something. Whenever you are when the value is being set, you get one notification. When value is already set, you get another notifications. We'll see how exactly it works. Property observers. Let me create one class. The class name is account, bank account, and it has one property called balance. It is double. And I want to assign by default it is 0. I want to add method deposit amount, it is double. Withdraw amount, it is double. Frank display show balance is another method. I'm just writing balance equal to balance plus amount. Here balance equal to balance minus amount. Here I'll just print balance. Current balance in account equal to balance. One more method I'll have here. Notify account holder is my method. What it does is it simply sends a message, sending message to customer or account holder. Okay, this is what I am having here. Let me create my account equal to account, bank account. It is initializer. And I want to set bank account dot deposit. I want to deposit some amount. It is 100 rupees. And again, I will deposit 200. My account dot withdrawal. I'll just withdraw 200 rupees. That's 200 rupees. I'll again withdraw 100 rupees. I can call whatever behaviors the account has, like show balance, and notify. I will not call. I'll make it private. We'll see what is private and all. Private means it is not accessible from outside. Only within this body you can use that. Okay, and my account dot notify you cannot call. It is not populating as well. Notify. And what I want is when there is a change in balance, Here, if you see, whenever we are depositing amount, what we are doing internally, we are changing the balance property. When there is a change in balance property, I want it to be notified to the customer. So what I want to do is, there are two methods here, basically two blocks, will set and did set. Let's say updated balance. Account holder. Updated balance. Is updated balance. Okay. Here, these are the property observers. One property observer is will set and did set. Let's see when it gets called. Will set means we are about to change the balance value. Balance is about to change. Here, did set means complete. Will means future. If you see in general English grammar, will means in future. Did means it is past. Balance got changed. Let me run this and see what happens. We'll create one real-time example here by using account holder or person. Yeah, for now, let's see this. See, if you see, we are modifying balance property 4 times. If you see here, this got called 8 times. Like will set is called 1 time and did set is called for the same. For each modification, these two methods are these two blocks of code is getting executed. One is will set. Whenever you are trying to change the amount here, it is saying, it is informing to the user, or it is informing to the balance property. The balance property is about to change. If you want to perform any kind of operations, you perform. Did set, your balance is already changed. Your value is already changed. If you want to perform any kind of thing, you can perform here. Basically, we'll do kind of updating user interface or informing to the other object, such kind of operation we generally perform here. Let me perform something. Did set, when the amount is changed, when the balance is changed, what I can call is updated balance. Here, did set means already set. Here you can use the old value. Old value means from which value it is changed to new value. And here will set. Will set means it is about to change to new value. These two properties are not declared, but in will set you can access new value. In did set you can use the old value. Changed from to balance. Here changing from current value to new value. These two are not required actually, but we can use the new value, we can use the old value. That is what I wanted to try. Here, when it is changed, I am updating my user interface. Let's say I am updating user interface, or here we can write the logic to inform to the user, sending a message to account holder that the updated balance is so and so. Let me comment these two. You can clearly see here the balance is about to changing from 0.0 to 100. because the new value we can access here. The balance got changed from 0 to 100. It was 0. Now it is changed. The old value is 0. It is changed to 100. Second thing is, and then we are calling this method notifying to the user. Sending message to account holder with updated balance. The updated balance is 100. Similarly, for the second method, balance is about to change from 100 to 300. It was 100. After assigning this value, it is going to be 300. So it is printed. Balance got changed from 100 to 300, and we are sending a message to the person. Same thing for the withdrawal. Withdraw and withdraw. Finally, show the balance. It is 0. After withdrawing 200 and 100, it is 0. When do we use property observers? When you want to get the real-time data, if you really see account holder, once the transaction is done, when you come to the home screen in banking applications, the balance should be reflected based upon the transaction. If you send some amount to your friend, when you come back to the home screen, the balance property, the balance whatever transaction you made, that should be reflected in the home screen. Means whenever there is a change in balance, you update your user interface in real time. Means immediately. This is where exactly you use property observers. Property observer means observing a property when it is changed. When it gets changed actually. Here we are having two property observers. One is will set and did set. Will set is used to notify the property is about to change. Did set is used to notify the property already changed, got changed. Here in will set, you can access the new value. In did set, you can access the old value. This is all about property observers. If you have any doubts, I can clear. Hope everything is clear. We are having the person clothes. I am changing my clothes. Yeah, you can refer this slide. Same thing we have taken the very much real time. Now, initializers and de-initializers. We will see what are the different kind of initializers we are having, and what is the de-initializer, and what are the purpose of using initializers and de-initializers. Initializers are used to prepare an object with the proper default values before it is created. Classes and structures contains initializers. By default, class contains initializer. By default, structure also contains initializer. Init is the default initializer, and de-init is the default destructor or de-initializer. Basically, the purpose of init method is initializer is to create object properly. Properly means when there are couple of properties, if the properties has proper values, then only we can make the object. We can treat that as an object. If we simply create object without having any values, without having any proper values to the properties, it is incomplete object. By using the initializer, we can construct the object properly. Init is the method which is the default constructor, and de-init is the one which is the default destructor. We can write that here. We can use in the same example. Let's say I do not have any value here.
Sorry to interrupt you in the middle. Their class won't have default initializers, right? The struct has a default initializer. Their class customable initializers we have to create.
Yes, yeah, I remember that. See here. Yeah, I stick to the same point. Let's say I'm having struct here. it won't give you any error. This is about mutating. Since we are changing the values, I can write mutating. Okay, this is a struct. When you try to call this method, if you see, yeah, here only you are getting error. Struct provides default initializer with their properties. If you see here, I'll just use this. Here, struct by default is providing initializer with their properties. It is saying struct says that, do you want to create the bank account? Then pass these parameters. Otherwise, I will not be able to construct bank account property. So struct is providing default initializer. Okay. In case of class, if you see, in case of class, if you simply remove this, see what it says. Here we don't need any mutating keyword. Here also we don't need any mutating keyword. It says class has no initializers. Means there is no default initializer. Whenever you specify some value here, whenever it is having proper value here, then you can create object here, something similar to this. Yeah, where we have created it. This is initializer only, right? Whenever you are calling with braces, you are creating. Let me run it. Yeah, the error is gone. This is way of calling initializer. Class also provided initializer when it has values. When there is no value, in case of struct, it creates default initializer with the properties as input arguments. Whereas class does not provide. మీరు ఇక్కడ చూస్తే కనుక బ్యాలెన్స్ అనేది ఒక ప్రాపర్టీ, దానికి వాల్యూస్ లేకుండా ఇక్కడ ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది. మీరు ఒకవేళ ఏదో సమ్ శాంపిల్ వాల్యూ ఇస్తే కనుక అది డిఫాల్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ఏదైతే ఎంటీ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ని క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. వెరాజ్ మీరు స్ట్రక్ట్ చూస్తే కనుక ఇక్కడ వాల్యూ ఇవ్వలేదు, నేను వాల్యూ ఇవ్వకుండా ఏం చేస్తుంది, డిఫాల్ట్ ఇన్సులైజర్ ని కస్టమ్ ఇన్సులైజర్ ని స్ట్రక్టే క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ మనం మ్యూటేటింగ్ యూజ్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, కమెంట్ చేసేస్తాను నేను. ఈ మెథడ్స్ కూడా కాల్ చేయను, మనకి ఎర్రర్స్ ఉన్నాయి కాబట్టి. ఇక్కడ మీరు గమనించినట్లయితే ఇంకా స్ట్రక్చర్ ఏం చేస్తుంది, బై డిఫాల్ట్ గా కస్టమ్ ఇన్సులైజర్ ని క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది మీకు. లెట్ ఇట్ రీకంపైల్. What is that? Yeah, it is saying that there is no default initializer. You use the custom initializer. Whatever is by default created. I can say here 0.0. ఇక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే స్ట్రక్చర్లో వచ్చేసి మనకి ఎటువంటి వాల్యూస్ ఇవ్వకుంటే గనక డిఫాల్ట్గా సిస్టమే మనకు ఒక ఇన్సులైజర్ ని క్రియేట్ చేసింది. ఆ ఇన్సులైజర్ కస్టమ్ ఇన్సులైజర్. ఇది కస్టమ్ ఇన్సులైజర్ అంటే మనకి ఏ ప్రాపర్టీస్కి అయితే వాల్యూస్ లేవో ఆ వాల్యూస్ తో ఆ ప్రాపర్టీస్ తో ఇక్కడ మనకు ఇన్సులైజర్ క్రియేట్ అయింది. ఇక్కడ మీకు సేమ్ థింగ్ క్లాస్ తీసుకుంటే ఇక్కడ క్రియేట్ అవ్వదు. గమనించండి, ఇక్కడ ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది మనకి. ఇక్కడ క్లాస్ లో వాల్యూస్ నువ్వు అసైన్ చేయలేదు, నీకు ఇన్సులైజర్ డిక్లేర్ చేయలేదు, అసైన్ చేయలేదు, డిఫాల్ట్ ఇన్సులైజర్ నేను ప్రొవైడ్ చేయలేదు అని చెప్తుంది క్లాస్ లో. మనం జస్ట్ చేంజ్ చేస్తుంది స్ట్రక్ట్ ఒకటే కదా, ఇక్కడ స్ట్రక్ట్ నుంచి క్లాస్ చేంజ్ చేశాను. క్లాస్ చేంజ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇక్కడ అడుగుతుంది, నేను డిఫాల్ట్ ఇన్సులైజర్ నీకు క్రియేట్ చేయలేదు, నీకు వాల్యూస్ అసైన్ చేసుకోవడానికి నువ్వు ఒకటి క్రియేట్ చేసుకో అని చెప్తుంది. మనం ఇక్కడ ఒక వాల్యూ అసైన్ చేస్తాం అనుకోండి, ఇది క్రియేట్ చేయదు యాక్చువల్గా, విత్ పారామీటర్స్ తో క్రియేట్ చేయదు. అప్పుడు నీకు డిఫాల్ట్ ఇన్సులైజర్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తుంది. ఇక్కడ ఇనిట్ సింప్లీ ఇనిట్, నాట్ విత్ ప్రాపర్టీస్. క్లియర్? శైలజ?
Sir.
Clear, right?
Clear. Okay.
Yeah. Here, let's say if you do not have any values, you cannot construct a proper object by using classes. So what we need to do is we have to have one init method. I'm going to create init method where I'm not giving anything, or else you can also have some parameter, input parameters. But here I'm saying balance equal to, by default I'm setting 0. Here what happens is whenever you create any bank account, by default the balance is 0. So by default I put 0 in init method. If you see, assume that this is savings account. If it is savings account, we need to maintain some amount. In that case, what we do is we create one method, minimum balance equal to balance, that is minimum balance. If you want to create any savings account, my savings account equal to bank account of, if you see, I can create a current account with zero minimum balance. I can create a savings account with 1,000 rupees minimum balance. This is default initializer. This is custom initializer. You are passing some value, you are passing your requirements, you are passing your customized value here. This is called a customized initializer. This is a default initializer. When you are having proper values, the default initializer is not required. You can also have it if you want to modify the default values other than the assigned value. Okay, this is one kind of initializer, that is default initializer. This is parameterized initializer or custom initializer. Initializers are used to prepare an object with proper default values before it is created. Classes and structures contains initializers. Init is the default initializer and dinit is the default destructor. Let me write the dinit method. Dinit. I am collapsed. When this method gets called, let's see, the final statement will be the dinit method when the bank accounts, my account or savings savings account work is done and it is trying to release the object. When it is released properly, then the dinit method gets called, where the memory is cleared. Constructor is to construct the object. Dinit is to destruct the object. If you see, we are having two objects. When it is created, init method will be called. When it is how to release from the object method, release from the memory, dinit will be called. Same for both. Let's see what's happening. It is running. Let it run. You should see dinit method called for twice. Only depositing and withdrawing by using my account object. This is current account. Let's say. You can also see whenever you are creating an object, creating. Whenever you are destructing, I'm just writing collapsed. Yeah. If you see here, we are creating, whenever you call bank account and initializer, the default entity method is called and creating is printed. Then we are creating another object, that is my savings bank account with customized initializer, where it is creating is printed. The balance is about to change. These statements got printed, and where is that collapsed? I'm collapsed is not printed. What is wrong? Yeah, there is nothing wrong. What is wrong here is, and in playground it won't work. Let me take separate class and show you the result. New project. Not here, others. Let's see. Main.swift. Here I'll add that. I'll just copy paste the same. Let's run it. Oops. I am collapsed is not called. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me show you when it is collapsed. Bank account, right? This is also bank account. Let me take optionals and my account equal to, I'm just putting nil. I don't want it anymore. Here, I don't want my savings account anymore. Let's try. Here I have to use question mark. I'll tell you why we need to use the question mark. Is that correct? Let constant. Make it where? Optional side. Let's try. I am collapsed and I am collapsed. Whenever we don't need the object, we're setting nil. Nil means you can go ahead and clear, I don't need it. Then the deinit method is getting called. Creating is called when you are creating the object, and collapse deinit is called when you do not want object anymore. Once your work is done, you can assign it to the nil, then the initializer, deinitializer gets called. Even without assigning this also, I'll show you when we are having the view controllers. That time, whenever you're pushing and popping, automatically the object will be removed. Then the deinit method will be called automatically. You don't need to set actually nil. Even it works here as well. Then my account, we need to use the property optionals, bank account. Similarly, bank account here, and I'm using question mark here. Question mark, this is called optional chaining. Nil. Optionals, so it will be variable. Optional means it can hold any value or nil. Yeah, we can see the same effect like initializer is called twice and deinitializer is called twice. Any doubts here? Initializer and deinitializer. We are having other kind of initializers as well. We'll see them. ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ? Custom initializer. This is custom initializer which we have already seen, like passing the custom values to set the properties. Here by default I am setting one value. The other two variables I am passing the values by using initializer and assigning to them and creating object and accessing them. Similarly, to create the B object, we have seen almost similar. We are having, we call it default initializer as well as we call custom initializer. Designated and convenience initializers. In interview point of view, it is very important. The designated initializer and convenience initializer. This is the designated initializer. The default initializer is called as designated initializer. Whenever you want to assign values for only some specific properties, then you have to go for convenience initializer. Let's see here. We are having three properties here: book name, author name, and pages. In default initializer, I am setting all three values, whereas by using custom initializer, I am setting only one value. Only one value I am setting, and for other two, I am calling self-init method. Self-init method, I am calling this method so that the proper values assigned properly. Then I am modifying the value with the custom values. Convenience initializer is used to provide custom default value for some properties of a class. Only some properties of a class you want to set the custom values. That is convenience initializer and custom initializer. This is a default initializer and custom initializer. We have already seen the same concept. Custom deinitializer, right? Custom deinitializer. Here we have only simply printed the values here. If you want to release anything externally, you can use deinit method to release any kind of database connections or any queues objects. If you are not sure whether those are getting released or not, you can use deinit, and here you can write a close db connection. Collapse queues objects. Okay, you can perform this kind of operations here. This is called custom deinitializer. By default, you don't need to write any deinitializer here. If you want to perform any kind of additional clearing, additional releasing of objects, then you can use a custom deinitializer. Okay, the meeting is about to end. If you have any doubts, I clear them. And convenience initializer, right? We'll take one more example in next session. What exactly the convenience initializer? Then we go for the encapsulation, the OOPS concepts. Okay, I'm winding up this meeting here. Please rejoin using same link.